Newcastle United have just battered Manchester United when the pressure was on. When the pressure was on of Chelsea dropping points and Nottingham Forest losing at home to Everton, the pressure was on those Newcastle players up against a very unpredictable Manchester United. And what have they done? They have gone out there and bulldozed them. Sandro Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joelinton. I don't care what anyone says. That is the best midfield in the Premier League. When I made my Premier League predictions for the end of the season, just over a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I said this Newcastle United team would finish third. I said they'd finish third. And everyone said to me, Henry, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. If Newcastle United beat Crystal Palace on Wednesday, they go 2 points clear of Nottingham Forest in third. Alexander Isak, Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes, Murphy, Gordon, Barnes, Cher, Dan Burn, Livramento, Trippier. Every single player right now is playing their absolute heart out for that badge. And guess what? They didn't even have Eddie Howe today. He's in hospital. Wish him all the best. Hope he's well. They go out there without their manager and score 4 goals. And it should have been 6 or 7. Fair play to Newcastle United. Their fans right now must be on cloud 9. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure you go down, smash this to pieces. And we have just hit 50k. So the road to 60k is well and truly on. And 90% of you who watch the content every single day are not subscribed. So go down and hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the content, make sure you go over and check out the match reaction from Tottenham earlier. I did lose my call, so I do apologise. That is unacceptable, that game. Newcastle United, look, I can't explain to you how good this Newcastle United side is right now. Everyone's giving Forest huge praise. Well, we need to start directing that praise towards this Newcastle United side. You scored 4 goals today in a one-man team without Alexander Isak. I always say Isak, Alexander Isak. However you pronounce it, I always butcher it. You know that. Alexander will call him. You know, you score 4 goals today and he's not even on the score sheet. He's not even on the score sheet. Tonali's goal, the first goal, is absolutely world-class. World-class is an understatement. It's a scooping through ball over the top from Isak. Tonali catches it on the volley ever so sweetly. And it's 1-0. In the fashion of this goal was absolutely glorious. That was a top goal. Really, really was. That for me is one of the best goals they've scored this season. And every single time Tonali scored a goal this season, it's been unreal. You know, they go 1-0 up. Fair play to Man United. They show a bit of character, a bit of determination, a bit of fight. They get back into the game. They equalise 1-1. Alejandro Garnacho gets them back in the game. It was Ugarte wins the ball from Joelinton before holding him off, spotting a run of Dalot. Dalot plays the ball into Garnacho and makes it 1-1. And I thought that was kind of against the run of play, to be honest. I thought Newcastle United should have been in front half-time. But I say this all the time about how important the second half of a game of football is. I scream and shout this all the time about the first 15 minutes of the second half are so important. And it was that man involved yet again, Harvey Barnes, in the absolute form of his life right now. 8 goals and 3 assists in 26 games in the Premier League. Not far off equaling his best ever season for goals, only 5 away from equaling his goals at Leicester. And right now, I don't actually think you can put Anthony Gordon back in the team. I think he's got to earn his place. I think what Barnes is doing right now, stepping up with big goals in big moments against teams like Manchester United, you can't really take him out there. It was a fantastic bit of play from Livramento, sprays the ball across the box. Murphy then sprays it back. The Man United defence is in absolute no man's land. And there is Harvey Barnes to tap in from 3 or 4 yards out. And then Harvey Barnes' second goal is absolutely unbelievable. a terrible bit of play from Manchester United. Barnes picks up the ball from, I think it was Mazzari, or it might have been Dalla. I think it was Mazzari slips. He runs straight through the heart of the Man United defence, and the finish is crazy. The finish is absolutely crazy. It is a world-class finish. You know, Man United had huge goalkeeping errors today, and they didn't even play Onana. You know, huge errors. Have to be better than that. Collectively as a team, this Man United team today shipped 4 goals, and Newcastle United didn't really get out of first gear in a lot of that. It was just, they just oozed quality. You know, the 4th goal is absolutely comical as well. Another goalkeeping error. Plays it out. Joelinton heads it into Bruno Guimaraes. And we've got to talk about Bruno Guimaraes now. I think this guy is absolutely world class. He loves that Newcastle United team. He loves that club. Kissing the badge as well afterwards. You know, sitting, doing his celebration. The best Bruno on the pitch by a country mile. And Newcastle United today, from minute 1 to minute 90, were phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. He taps it in past the goalkeeper. And then fair play to you know, I can't remember what his name is now, the Newcastle assistant. Jason Tyndall made some changes, brought on Miley for Guimaraes, brought on Gordon for Murphy, brought on Wilson for Isak. Could see that they've got a huge game to essentially drive a points gap between them and them and 4th in the Premier League. And when I made my predictions, I'm looking at that Newcastle United team. The defence is very good right now. Obviously, Lewis Hall's injured. So you've got Kieran Trippier and Livramento at fullbacks. You got Cher and Dan Burn, very good centre-back pairing. And they've only conceded 40 goals, which is only 1 more than Chelsea, only 2 more than Nottingham Forest, 2 less than City, 6 less than Villa, 9 less than Brighton, 2 less than Fulham. But they're scoring a lot of goals. They've scored 5 more goals than Nottingham Forest. They've only scored 1 less than Arsenal, and they've still got a game in hand. And that game in hand is against Crystal Palace, the same Crystal Palace side that shipped 5 goals yesterday. I think Newcastle United will win on Wednesday, and I do think they will get Champions League football right now. The situation that Chelsea are in, they are absolutely falling. You know, from the fall from grace they've had is unbelievable. I would back Aston Villa or Man City to finish 5th. You know, there is only a couple of points between them and Villa, but if they win their game in hand, they will go 3 points clear of Manchester City, who will be sitting in 5th, and they would leapfrog Nottingham Forest, who are in 2nd. And you look at the fixtures they've got coming up. Right now, I'll be honest with you, I think the game where it all depends on is on Saturday next week. Bearing in mind, both teams will be playing midweek. Aston Villa have got to put absolutely everything on the table to go and chase that deficit back against PSG. And also Crystal Palace, who is what Newcastle are up against. But after that, I think they'll beat Chelsea. I think they'll beat Ipswich. I think they beat Brighton. And last game of the season is at home against Everton. And by then, you know, Everton will be on the beach. So it's all about these next 2 games. If they can beat Crystal Palace and then go and beat Aston Villa, which I do think they can, you know, I'm not going to lie to you guys. If Newcastle United get in the top 4 and win a trophy, I honestly believe that Eddie Howe should be up there. The only manager that could maybe beat him for Manager of the Year would be Arne Slot. And of course, no one really expected him to go out there and win a league title. What he's doing right now is genuinely unbelievable. To go out there and score 4 goals, you know, what Harvey Barnes did today is absolutely insane. You know, he bodied that Man United team. Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton, the chemistry they've got in that midfield is, and players like Murphy this season has been unbelievable. You know, you look at him this season, 17 GA in 28 games. He's got 10 assists in the Premier League. You know, he's got more assists than any other Newcastle player this season. And look, I'll be honest, I apologise to this guy because I always thought he was the one who they could upgrade on. I always thought he was a bit of the weak link. But you look at Barnes is right now scoring goals. Isak's a goal machine. Gordon this season, you know, Gordon as well has got some very good numbers at Newcastle United. He's also got 11 GA. But you look at Murphy has got 5 more GA this season than Gordon. And Gordon gets huge praise. So I think Murphy, look, I think he deserves a lot more praise than we're really giving him, because right now, this Newcastle United side are absolutely flying on all cylinders. Flying on all cylinders. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. We are on the road to 60K, and I will see you all soon.